Right, guys, this is gonna be my final Turtle WoW review, like overall review. Last time I did a 1 to 30 review, which took about half an hour. This time I'm not gonna do half an hour. This is just gonna be a quick rapid fire of points, how I feel about the points, and then an overall score. Also, no Tusks of Manoroth this time. My dad stole them. He used them for a costume party and never gave them back. Anyway, so first of all, let's start off with what is Turtle WoW. For anyone watching this video, you don't know what Turtle WoW is. You're trying to figure out what it is to see if it's worth your time. Well, first of all, Turtle WoW is a custom vanilla private server. What that means is you're going to have all of the original vanilla content in there. Mulgore, Durotar, Elwyn Forest, Zul'Gura, Molten Core, all of the stuff that you love and known for years. All of it is present, including additional optional content. All of the additional content is optional, but it's so much better because you can experience the game in a whole brand new way. You don't have to go to Silverpine Forest. You can go to the Tirisfal Uplands instead. You have Telebim, which just came out. The next current patch planned is going to be Gilneas. You're going to have all of these different zones to play in. Not only that, in current zones that already exist, there are new quest hubs, like full new towns with custom music. Even then, old hubs like Crossroads, for example, there's new additional quests there that you can find. There's some in Ratchet, there's some all over the map. There's a new hub in Wetlands, like up in the mountain area of Wetlands. There's all this new stuff. You also have playable vanilla goblins. You also have playable vanilla high elves for Alliance. All of that. So that's what you have to look forward to if you play this server. Now, what's the population like on this server? Well, thankfully, it's growing. It's getting bigger every year. As of right now, it's like, I think the most I've seen online is 2,400. It's always, depending on if you're playing on peak or not, it's always between 1,500 and 2,000 players on at a time. That's for both Horde and Alliance, with sometimes it going above 2,000. The last several times I've played, it's been 2,100, 2,300, 2,400, with the occasional 1,800, you know? But it is popular and it's growing like rapidly, especially with the rise and fall rather of other servers. So what is the social aspect like? Well, luckily it's very friendly. You don't have a lot of boosting. Now, if it's like a friend to a friend or a guildie helping a guildie, of course you can help other players out. It's acceptable to do that, but you're not allowed to provide boosting services for like real world money, or they have donation points. You're not allowed to do anything for that. There are very little min-maxers that I've noticed. Now there probably are on this server, but from what I've seen, I haven't really seen it. So I'm gonna say there's not as many min-maxing assholes. Like, they're not forcing, you have to do this, you have to do this. No, just do whatever the fuck you want, no one cares. There are little to no bots. I'm sure there's probably one there, but bots are generally seen upon as a no-no, so they're gonna be banned. By the way, if you hear any squeaking sounds, that's my sugar gliders. They're play fighting. There's little to no bots. There's little to no gold farmers. Now, if you enjoy just grinding gold, that's perfectly acceptable. What I mean by gold farmers are the bots that do nothing but grind gold and inflate the economy. Those are banned. Those get kicked out. Let's see. Multi-boxers. So it is allowed that you can have up to one account following your main account at the same time without the use of third-party sites to play them for you. You have to control both of the accounts. You are allowed to do that, but you cannot have more than one character following your main character at a time. Other than that, multi-boxing is pretty much banned. You're not going to see rows of just war bands all played by the same character. I've seen like half an Alterac Valley one time, and this is on retail. I saw half an Alterac Valley, just all one guy. I was like, what is this? Anyway, leveling. So this is generally a ×1 leveling experience, which basically means normal. It's vanilla leveling. However, you do have the option to both make it faster and slower. Slower is called the turtle mode, which it decreases the amount of experience gained and the sources you get experience from. Now, that's if you want to do that. Obviously, it's optional. But if you do complete it, for every 10 levels that you complete it, you get rewards for it. So there's an incentive to do it if you want to. There's same thing with the other modes they have, but we'll get to those later. The faster mode is their new profession. There are some new professions. One of them is the survival mode, or survival profession, rather. So survival profession, one of the things that it gives, a lot of them are like quality of life or just flavor items that you can get for fun. One of them is the tent. Now, you can set up a little, ramshackle tent, and if you sit under it, you instantly get rested. Like, instead of waiting hours and hours and hours for it to go for your rested experience, you can watch it just crawl across the bottom of the screen. So you sit there for like 5 minutes, and when you put a tent down, everyone sits under the tent. So you can have a lot of social interaction while you're sitting there under the tent. Or maybe you have to go take a piss or something. You sit your character under the tent, go take your piss, go make some food. By the time you come back, you're full rested experience. So that will help you get more experience out in the wild when you're doing your quests, right? So leveling is pretty quick. If you want it to be, that is. Let's see, what else? You have class changes. Now, while there are some class changes, I would say some of them are good and some of them are underwhelming. So that's a negative so far for this. Like I said, there are some good class changes. Some of them are not. I don't really have any good examples other than the Hunter, which is my main. They didn't really class change all that much except for giving us Aspect of the Wolf, which allows you to be a melee hunter, which, fine by me. If I'm in a tight corner where I can't use my range, I switch to Aspect of the Wolf, and I can melee them down real quick, and then I switch back to Aspect of the Hawk. That's fine, and for people who want to play that, that's fine. But that's all the class change we got. Some of them got way more overhauled than others. Some of them, not as much, like the Hunter. But depending on the class, I have a whole video on the class change. I have like 2 videos on the whole class changes, so you go check that out to see whether your class has been changed positively or negatively. I just don't remember off the top of my head, and I don't want to go an hour through that again. So you're more than welcome to check that out with chapters on what class is what. Anyway, besides that, we have hardcore modes. This is one of the other modes that you can play of besides turtle mode. Hardcore mode is a challenge that everyone pretty much likes to at least attempt once. This is one of the primary draws of the server, it seems like, besides the custom content. Besides that, everyone likes to do hardcore mode. The positive to hardcore mode is not only when you hit level 60, you only get a reward at level 60, by the way, not every 10 levels like turtle mode, with the exception of announcing to everyone on the server that you've reached a certain level, or that you died at a certain level. But when you reach level 60, you get a title called the Immortal, and then you get a mount. Now, they just changed the mount, so I don't know what it is now, but it used to be the Azure Drake from Wrath of the Lich King. It couldn't fly, but you could use it as a ground mount. So that's what it used to be. They changed the mount. I don't know what it is now, but you do get a special mount and a special title to show that you accomplished this task. And the other modes don't give you anything that, like, prestige. Now, another benefit is that you will have a lot of people in the lower level zones, particularly up until level 20, because that seems to be where most people perish. That's where I've died like 3 times already. So most people perish around level 20 to 30, so you're going to see a lot of people in the, starting zones. Now, there is a downside to that. The downside is that hardcore players cannot play with normal players. Now, you could kind of try to work it out. I've tried doing that before, but you cannot group with other people. And even then, hardcore players can only group with other hardcore players that are within 5 levels of each other. So you can't get a level 45 hardcore player to join a level 5, in a group. So there's that. Another downside is that there are a lot of bugs and exploiting of flagging hardcore players for PvP. Now, Unfortunately, if you lose your hardcore player, even to something out of your control, like lag or a server shutdown, or somebody exploiting the character, your character's done. They're not going to revive it. So there's an issue with that, but also people who do exploit these flagging mechanics are banned. They're just flat out banned. That is not allowed because it's exploiting for one, and it's just, you know. Anyway, let's go on to the next one. So the new zones. So like I said, there's new zones. You got Telebim, you got, well, soon to be Gilneas, but I haven't been there. That you have Isle of Gilligajim, you have Lapidus Isle, the Tearsfall Uplands. What else? There's a few other zones I just can't remember off the top of my head, but all of those zones, I feel they did it proper. So when you go through a zone, you know, there's a feel to it in the vanilla sense, right? Because if you go to a retail zone, it's got a completely different feel. But the feeling that you get when you leveling through a vanilla zone, all of these zones seem to match. They have the exact same type of, like, feeling of the quest. You have to go kill 10 of these, go loot 10 of these, but with their own little, like, flair, and it kind of makes sense. And not only that, they expand upon the story of that zone. Sometimes it's not just a story, sometimes it's just, oh yeah, let's just go get some bananas in Telebim, right? But the new zones overall have the same feeling of the old zones, which is a good thing for this type of what we're going for. Not only that, they have quests that lead you to other zones, just like the old zones, also to go to dungeons. So they do encourage the dungeons. Oh yeah, something real quick. I'm gonna go back, rewind a little bit. The with new zones, there's also new dungeons. So in the exact same vein that I just said about the questing zones, the new dungeons have the same feeling as vanilla dungeons. So I've done, let's see, I think I've done like 3. Yeah, I think I did about like 3 of the custom ones. I know I did Crescent Grove. I did the new Searing Gorge one. I can't remember what it's called. The quarry. I forgot what it's called. Hateforge Quarry. And then I think I did one other one. I just don't remember what it was. But those all are they're open. Like, they're not linear hallway ones. Like, I can't think of one. There's a couple of dungeons that are like linear that you have to go through a certain hallway. These are all open. Go do the bosses in whatever order you want. Now, of course, players kind of make their own order that they follow every time, but you don't have to follow it. Hateforge Core is like, boss here, boss here, boss here. There's a cave. You could split off, kill a boss there, split off, kill a boss there, and then you're done. And do it whatever you want. Crescent Grove is literally like a big circle, but you can go through the middle, you can go this way, you can go this way, and there's just bosses scattered. You kill them in whatever order you want. That feels good. Now, the bosses themselves, they are fairly simple. They do have some mechanics behind them, but nothing you really need to worry about. They're definitely not hard. The equipment you can acquire from the dungeons they're okay. I'm actually using one from the Hateforge Core, even though it's like a level, what is it, like 40 to 50 dungeon? I don't remember. But they're not that bad. They got some pretty good ones. Actually, there's a really good trinket in Crescent Grove. I didn't get it because it didn't drop, but there's a really good trinket that hunters can use from the final boss, I think it was. I don't remember. But yeah, there's some pretty good equipment you can get from it. Anyway, let's go on to the next one, which is going to be the content updates. So they are, I would say, fairly regular for a dev group of this size. They've got a small to major update at least twice a year. So the Telebim one just happened maybe like a month ago, and they're already announcing like, hey, the Gilneas one probably around summertime, roughly. So yeah, they have semi-regular content updates. They're always keeping people up to date on Discord. Now, unfortunately, their YouTube channel, I think their Twitter, I'm not on Twitter, so I don't know. Their Twitter, most of their social media have been attacked by Blizzard, so they're kind of on the down low now. I think their YouTube channel is only for like their custom music or whatever, something that's theirs. But all of their updates and, hey guys, we're coming out with new content, that's all going to be on their official website, their Turtle WoW website, which there are links to it in their Discord channel. The Discord channel itself is very active. You got people all the time talking on there. So there's that. Now the PvP, this is going to be one of the downsides to the server. So they tried coming out with a new custom battleground called the Sunny Glade Valley, which I don't know exactly why, because I wasn't up to date at that moment in time, but for whatever reason it failed. I just don't remember what the reason was, but it failed and no one plays that battleground. I believe it has to do with the rate of points you get or something, I don't remember, but more people play the original 3 battlegrounds rather than the new custom one, which is a shame because I kind of wanted to try it out. War mode is a thing. This is another mode that you could play. Now, it's basically like the war mode of retail, only it doesn't separate you off, you're in the world. So, other people that are flagged for war mode, you could fight in the world, no problem. So you do have some in-world PvP, but people who are not flagged, you cannot PvP them, obviously. The plus side of being on war mode is that you do get an experience buff, so you are going to have a lot of players that just want the experience boost, and they turn on war mode, and then they get killed all the time, and then they wonder why people are attacking them, so you're going to have those, obviously. The battlegrounds, there are battlegrounds that happen, however, you do have some that happen at low levels, at least the minimum level for whatever battleground it is, but most of them are going to be in the level 50 to 60 brackets. So, I see fairly regular Warsong Gulches. I do see some Alteric Valleys, we'll get to that in a second, and Arathi Basin. So those are pretty active in the 50 to 60 bracket. The issue with Alteric Valley is not as many people play those, so they're made that you're basically doing a 10 versus 10 Alteric Valley. The Alteric Valley itself, I think, is pre-nerf. There's... I think it's nerfed enough. It's pre-nerf in the sense of you still have the landmines everywhere, right? You still have the generals, you still have the NPCs fighting in the middle of the field of strife. That's what I meant by Blizzard unnerfed. But Turtle nerf is made so 10 players can beat it. And that's kind of a requirement considering not as many people play it. So PvP, it happens, but there's not as many people who play it. This is a primarily PvE server. They do try to give things to the PvPers, but if you are a primarily PvP-oriented player, this is not really the server for you. There is some there for you, but not a lot. So that's going to be a downside to the server. Now, the last thing I want to cover is the raiding. Raids do happen, but they have to be pre-mades, which are scheduled ahead of time by groups or guilds, because it's almost impossible to pug. You do have a lot of level 60s. This server has been out for years now. However, with all of the new custom content coming out for leveling and not so much for endgame, which is going to be a criticism of the server. I'll get to that in a second in the overall section next. But with that being said, you're going to have a lot more levelers than you are, like people out there leveling, rather than people doing stuff at endgame. Even if they have an endgame character, like a level 60 character, you're not going to see them on there as much as doing a hardcore challenge mode. So like I said, you have to have it scheduled ahead of time by a group or just a guild to say like, hey, Tuesday, 7 p.m., we're going to do Molten Core. Okay. And only that, I've really only seen, like, Molten Core, Blackwing Lair. I think I've seen some Anchorage, but I've almost never seen a Naxx group form. It does happen, Naxx is out, and people have done Naxx. I'm just saying, the usual raids that I see being done are usually Anchorage, Blackwing, and Molten Core. I almost never see Zul'Gurub, I almost never see Naxx. There is a new raid that came out called the Scarlet Citadel raid. I almost never see people do it. I think people have done it, but I don't see groups forming for it. So raiding is kind of hit or miss. You got to get into a raiding guild if you want to raid. And the issue with a private server is that you have people from all over different time zones, all over the world. So getting it scheduled is going to also be a challenge. You're going to have to find somebody from your time zone who will work with your schedule, so there's that. My overall score for Turtle WoW is going to be a 4 out of 5. Almost all of the custom content works very well and is a welcome change to the game, with only the battlegrounds and the class changes needing to be looked at and improved. So there's that. So yeah, I'm definitely giving this server a plus. I highly recommend it to anyone who's looking for just something new, but also similar, that is also populated. So yeah, that's gonna be my score for Turtle WoW. This is gonna be my official 1 to 60 score, because I have finally hit level 60. I hit it months ago, but I delayed this because I was trying to think of what to write. If you want any news of Turtle WoW, I keep up to date with Turtle WoW, and I make news videos. I stream it regularly. Anything like that with Turtle WoW, and even other private servers, mostly the custom private servers, then be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment. What level are you? What mode do you play? And what's your favorite class? So I'll see you later.